It was a gloomy Monday morning when the email arrived, cold and impersonal, yet piercing my heart like a bolt of lightning. Effective immediately, please welcome our new intern, Jason. I felt the universe shift beneath my feet as I read the message for the 10th time. I had dedicated years to crafting the compliance layer that held our tech startup together, pouring endless nights and countless cups of coffee into every line of code. And here I was tossed aside for someone straight out of college. Can you believe this? I whispered to myself, staring at the screen, rage bubbling like molten lava. Just then, my phone buzzed. Claire, a friend from HR with sharp intuition. Her message read, "Meet me at the cafe in 10. We need to talk." I barely looked up from my desk as I slammed my laptop shut. Doubt and bitterness festered in my gut. I had to find out what was happening. As I walked into the cafe, the rich aroma of coffee filled the air, combining with the enticing scent of baked goods. Yet nothing could sweeten my mood. Claire, with her bright eyes and a whirlwind of energy, waved me over. "They did it to you too, huh?" she asked, her voice laced with sympathy. It wasn't just me. The heaviness in her tone revealed layers of deceit, lurking in our seemingly collaborative environment. "Why him?" I shot back, unable to contain my frustration. What could he possibly know? Claire leaned in closer, her brows furrowing. "I've heard some whispers. There's more at play here. People are unhappy. You're just the first domino." The tension hung thick between us, and for a brief moment, vulnerability flickered in her eyes. "By the way, your compliance layer is at the center of a bigger problem. I can help you dig deeper, if you're up for it." A chill ran down my spine. "What kind of problem?" She smirked, the thrill of intrigue igniting her features. "Let's just say, things aren't what they seem." Suddenly, I was on the precipice of a conspiracy. But could Claire really be trusted? Before we dive deeper into this chaotic web of secrets, a quick alert for you who love our stories. YouTube has been known to remove subscriptions lately, so take a second to check if you're still subscribed and give us a thumbs up to support the channel. Now, back to the unfolding mystery. Claire leaned back in her chair, her gaze fixed on the window, as if searching for answers outside. "You know, this isn't about you and me anymore. It's about something much larger," she said, turning her attention back to me. "I think our intern, Jason, is just a pawn in a game we don't fully understand yet." My heart raced. "What do you mean by a pawn? Who's really pulling the strings?" She hesitated, her fingers drumming nervously on the table. "I've been hearing rumors of a power struggle among the executives. And Jason, he might be a distraction, or worse, an attempt to draw attention away from something serious." I couldn't shake the feeling that I was sitting on a powder keg. Suddenly, Claire slid her phone across the table, showing me a string of encrypted messages from a group of higher-ups. My eyes widened as I skimmed through them. Discussions about streamlining compliance, mentions of budget cuts, and the ominous line, "It's time for a change in leadership." "What does this mean?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "It means they want to dismantle what you built, to pivot the whole company in a new direction without your consent. They've got their sights on your compliance layer, the very thing you sacrificed for," Claire explained. Her eyes shimmered with intensity. "We need to dig deeper. I can help you." "Are you sure we can trust each other?" I tensed, my instincts flaring. Trust had become a rare commodity in the office. Claire met my gaze. "For now, we have a common enemy. Together, we might find the truth and save your career in the process." I nodded slowly, determination crystallizing in my mind. If they thought they could erase me so easily, they were in for a battle. Before we could strategize our next move, Claire's phone rang, a frantic voice on the other end. "You have to see this now!" I could feel my pulse quicken. What had we stumbled into? Stay with us as we unravel this corporate maze where the stakes keep rising and the truth is more elusive than ever. Don't miss the next chapter, where secrets will be forced into the light and alliances will be tested. As we dashed out of the cafe, Claire's phone still buzzing in her hand, a sense of urgency gripped us. The sleek glass facade of the office building loomed above us, casting long shadows on the pavement. Every step echoed the growing weight of what we were uncovering. "Where to?" I asked, trying to keep pace with her hurried strides. "The server room," she replied, glancing back with a fierce determination in her eyes. "If we can access the compliance files, we might expose whatever they're hiding. But we need to be quick. I have a feeling they're onto us." Heart racing, I couldn't suppress the unease curling in my stomach. What if they had eyes everywhere? What if this was a trap? "Do you really think we'll find something incriminating?" I questioned, doubts flickering like shadows in my mind. Claire shrugged, but there was a flicker of hope in her expression. "We have to try. This is our shot, and it might just reveal why they replaced you." Arriving at the server room, I glanced around. No one seemed to be watching, but the silence felt charged. Claire swiped her access card and the door clicked open. The room was cramped, a hive of servers humming with information. "You got this," she encouraged softly. As I logged in, I felt the weight of centuries of code pressing down on me, every keystroke a reminder of my sacrifices. The system flickered, and the files emerged before us. "Here, the compliance logs," I breathed, scrolling through the data like a lifeline. But as I delved deeper, a shiver ran down my spine. The entries reflected discrepancies that couldn't just be careless errors. No, they were deliberate, a pattern of manipulation that twisted the very foundations of what I had built. "Look at this," I said, my voice trembling with revelation. "It's rigged. They're using my framework to facilitate some sort of cover-up." Claire leaned in closer, her presence grounding me amid the storm of panic and adrenaline. "This is big," she murmured, her tone thick with awe and disbelief. "If we expose this, we could change everything, but we need to move fast." Just then, the door creaked open, and I froze, eyes wide. Jason stepped inside, confusion etched on his face. "What are you doing here?" he said, his tone shaky, as if he sensed the tension in the air. Before he could process further, I glanced at Claire, the unspoken truth hanging between us. This was no coincidence. Could he be just another player in the game? Stay with us as the layers of deception peel back and the true intentions behind this intern's arrival are revealed. What will happen next? Don't miss the upcoming chapter, where choices will spark betrayal and the battle for the truth will reach a fever pitch. The dim glow of the server room faded into the background as I stared at Jason, a mix of confusion and urgency washing over me. How did he find us? Had he been eavesdropping all along? My heart raced, and instinctively I clenched my fists, ready to defend what little honor I had left in this tumultuous storm. Hey, I needed to check some files," he stammered, eyes darting between Claire and me, clearly sensing the tension in the air. His uncertainty made him appear less like the ambitious intern I had resented, and more like a child caught in a game far too big for him. "Get out," I said, my tone sharper than I intended. I didn't need a novice complicating things further, but then I paused. There was something unsettling about his presence that twisted the knife of insecurity nestled deep in my gut. Why was he here now? And how much did he truly know? "Wait," Claire interrupted, stepping forward, her brows knitted in thought. "Jason, do you have any idea what's happening? The changes? The odd data we're finding?" His expression transformed from unease to apprehension. "I've heard whispers," he admitted quietly, shifting on his feet. but no one actually told me anything. I just wanted to make a name for myself, you know? I didn't think it involved breaking rules. My heart sank as I realized that he might be more embroiled in this than I'd imagined. You don't want to get caught up in this, whatever this is, I warned him, my voice low. Look, Jason said, stepping closer, the air thick with tension. You both should be careful. Some of the higher-ups are implementing new compliance standards, but it feels more like a purge than progress. I didn't want to believe it until now, but I think they're using you, building everything you've worked for into a facade. And I don't want to be a part of that. The implications of his words hit me like a brick wall, shattering what little hope I'd held onto. Everything I built, every late-night line of code, reduced to a pawn in this twisted game. What are you saying? I pressed, my pulse pounding in my ears. I'm saying, he replied, his image morphing from mere intern to reluctant whistleblower, that I think they're framing it all to look like a success story while erasing anyone who doesn't fit into their narrative. They need your compliance layer but want to cut out the messiness that comes with having you around. We could be in real danger. The weight of his admission hung heavy between us, a stark reminder that none of us were safe in this toxic environment. So, what's our next move? Claire asked, her ambition flaring up again. Gather evidence, Jason suggested hesitantly, a flicker of determination glowing in his eyes. Work together. I can use my position to overhear conversations, get access to things that might help. If we can build a case against them, we might just expose their plans and protect what you've built. Are you willing to risk your job? I questioned, a mix of skepticism and admiration coloring my tone. Because this could go south really quickly. I would rather lose my job than be part of this. His voice trembled with conviction, and I can't stand by watching you all lose everything because of their greed. Claire and I exchanged glances. This was a pivotal moment. Could we trust him, or was he just another cog in their machine? But as the silence settled, my gut whispered that we didn't have a choice. Then let's get to work, I said finally, pushing away my doubts. With newfound purpose, we brainstormed a plan. Jason would play the role of the observant intern, gathering intel from meetings and casual conversations among the executives. Claire would act as my ally, helping analyze the data we retrieved, while I determined a way to fortify my compliance framework against their manipulations. As the four corners of our plan began to take shape, the reality of what we could achieve sparked an unexpected alliance between us. Okay, so we have a few steps, Claire delineated, her voice steady. Jason, you focus on eavesdropping without raising suspicion. Make notes, gather any documents you can discreetly, and we'll protect you too. If anything feels off, you pull back. Got it, Jason replied, excitement flaring behind his anxiety. And I'll start digging through the compliance files deeper, looking for patterns that don't quite add up, I added, my heart beginning to beat with renewed vigor. If I can fortify my compliance layer against the planned changes, maybe I can outmaneuver them before they can replace me entirely. As we discussed the logistics of the operation, a flicker of hope ignited within me. This could work. Perhaps we didn't have to accept an unjust fate. Perhaps together we could reclaim ownership of what was rightfully mine, and in the process, expose the darkness lurking within our supposedly bright tech startup. Unbeknownst to us, the clock was ticking, and danger loomed like a thunderstorm on the horizon, shadows that threatened to swallow us whole. Our next steps would be crucial. We had to tread carefully, moving like shadows among giants, ready to knock us down. But just as our plans began to solidify, a sudden commotion outside the server room jolted our focus. Footsteps approached, accompanied by the familiar murmur of executive voices, their tones dripping with the kind of confidence that sent chills down my spine. "Now what?" Claire whispered, her eyes darting toward the door. "Hide!" I urged, barely above a whisper. Crowding beneath a nearby desk, we could barely contain our breaths as the executives entered, their conversations echoing ominously around us. There, in the heart of our sanctuary, we would witness the coming storm. Another twist in the corporate game. What secrets would they divulge? What threats might be hanging over our heads? Tune in for the next chapter, where we'll uncover the intent of the higher-ups and what comes next for our makeshift team as we edge closer to the truth. The stakes are higher than ever. Stay close, because the revelations are about to shake our world to its core. As the murmur of voices grew louder, I could taste the anticipation mixed with fear in the cramped space beneath the desk. Jason's breath was uneven. Claire's hand squeezed my arm tightly, and we shared apprehensive glances. The executives had entered the server room, and at that moment it felt like they were standing on the precipice of our fate. "I don't care how it gets done. Just make sure the compliance layer is stripped down by the end of the month," barked an executive, an imposing figure clad in a sharp suit. His voice was cold, calculated, a stark contrast to the chaos bubbling in my heart. "We can't afford another delay," another voiced in agreement, and I strained to catch every word, my pulse quickening. If they succeeded in their plan, everything I had built, everything I had sacrificed, would vanish in an instant. "I'll arrange the meeting with the board," a woman chimed in, her tone unwavering. "This is our opportunity to push for the new strategic direction we discussed. We can't let anyone or anything stand in our way. This compliance model has been a thorn in our side for too long. It's time to cut the excess." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. They didn't just want to replace me. They were willing to dismantle the very structure of the company I loved to pave their path. A scorching anger ignited inside me. Not only were they targeting my work, but they were dragging our company into a pit of corruption for their ambitions. "Did you hear that?" I whispered to Claire, who nodded, her eyes alight with urgency. "What's our next move?" Jason asked, his voice a tight whisper, the stakes crushing down on us. I think I saw a backup drive in the corner," I said, as an idea flickered to life. "If we can get that and copy the logs before they erase any evidence, maybe we can use it to build our case." "Do you think you can access it without drawing attention?" Claire asked, her voice steady despite her racing heartbeat. "I have to try," I responded, scanning the room. With the executives distracted and deep into their discussion, time was on our side, but only for a moment. This was a thin line to walk. Biting my lip, I crept cautiously towards the corner, my heart thumping like a frightened drum. I reached the drive, my fingers trembling as I connected it to one of the active terminals, praying the screen didn't blink too loud, hoping the executives remained engrossed in their scheming. A glimmer of progress lit up my screen, files beginning to copy. But my breath hitched when I heard footsteps approach. "Did you hear something?" the stern executive asked suddenly, interrupting my focus. "Probably just the server humming." "Nothing to worry about," another replied mockingly, but I could feel their attention shift. "Let's wrap this up," the first executive insisted, drifting closer. "We need to finalize the decision on the layoffs." Every second felt like an eternity. I focused on the screen, willing the files to download faster, my pulse pounding in synchronized rhythm with each ticking second. The folder icon began flashing, almost as if it were mocking my anxiety. "I just have one last thing to discuss." The executive's voice drew ever nearer, chilling my blood. My eyes widened when I glanced at how slowly the transfer bar progressed. What if they turned around? What if they saw me? Out of nowhere, Claire sprang into action, her quick thinking shining through the chaos as she knocked over a stack of documents, causing a loud thud to echo across the room. "What was that?" one of the executives barked, spinning around. "Just some papers," Claire said easily, confidence dripping from her voice like honey. You know how disorganized things have been lately. I didn't have time to admire her quick wit. The download completed just as the executives turned back. "Let's get back to business," one said dismissively. I stole a glance back at my screen, relief flooding through me as I safely disconnected the drive. Heart racing, I slipped back under the desk, alongside Claire and Jason, who looked just as shaken as I felt. After a few tense moments, the executives exited, leaving us in frazzled silence. A weight had been lifted, but it was replaced with an overwhelming urgency. "Did we get enough?" Jason asked, his youthful energy bubbling over into excitement. Yes, we got what we needed," I replied, my own voice a mix of exhilaration and disbelief. "But this is just the beginning. We need to get this to the right people and expose the truth before they can act." "Let's meet after hours to strategize," Claire suggested. "We can go through the files and prepare any evidence we need to confront them." I nodded, adrenaline surging. Now there was no turning back. Together we held cards that could shake the foundations of the entire company. As we slipped out of the server room, I felt a tentative sense of hope blooming within me. Everything had shifted once again. Perhaps the loss of my former position could be a catalyst for reclaiming not just my own role, but the ethical lifeblood of the company itself. The next few hours flew by in a blur, filled with planning and discussions about unparalleled trust, revelations, allegations, and our hopes for the future. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a shadow over our lives, we knew that the fight for justice was upon us. Stay tuned, because together we were about to challenge the very core of greed and corruption. As I glanced at Claire and Jason, I realized we were on the brink of a powerful movement. And before the climax of our story unfolds, I want to take a moment to thank you for joining us on this journey. If you find yourself invested in uncovering the truth, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. You won't want to miss the next chapter, where everything comes to a head and long-hidden secrets are finally unveiled. The battle for what's right starts now.